The Section 8 inspection program is outdated and useless, and it needs to be abolished, and it deters landlords from wanting to participate in the program. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the whole problem with the Section 8 inspection program. Now, I have actually talked about this issue many times on this channel, and I'm glad to see that there are people who are writing articles about the very same things that I've discussed, about how the whole inspection program, it's useless. Okay, it is absolutely useless, and there's a lot of really good housing providers out there who already provide great housing, and you know what, the tenants would be just fine in their units. But guess what? The inspection program is going around, it's inspecting these units, it's causing delays in the time that a tenant would be able to move into the property. It's causing delays in the amount of time that it takes for a landlord to receive their first rental payment, and the landlord has to make thousands of dollars worth of repairs that are unnecessary the grand majority of the time. I can tell you for a fact that I had a Section 8 tenant in one of my units, and upon the annual reinspection, guess what? Suddenly there's thousands of dollars worth of work that I have to do. Thousands of dollars worth of work that otherwise I would not have had to do if it had been any other tenant. And now I'm spending thousands of dollars out of pocket to get this crap done. And was it safety issue stuff? No, it was just minor nitpicking garbage that, was a complete waste of my time. So keeping that stuff in mind, it was one of the reasons why I didn't want to participate in Section 8 anymore. It's one of the reasons why I ended up selling those units that had the Section 8 tenants in them, because I was like, you know what, I'm sick of dealing with this program, all the hoops I got to jump through, and I'm not getting paid a penny more than I am with the other tenants I have that are not Section 8. So why am I dealing with this government bureaucracy? Why am I dealing with these inspections? Why am I dealing with these sometimes garbage tenants? It's just not worth it. It is not worth it for me. It's not worth it for a lot of landlords. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't landlords who are willing to participate in the program, who are making plenty of money and doing just fine. But you know what? It should be up to us as individual landlords, as individual property owners, whether we want to participate in that program. And you're not going to get a lot of landlords who want to participate when you have these stupid inspections that are basically making things so difficult for us. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. So if you are a Section 8 landlord watching this video right now, have you had issues with the inspection program before? Have you had to make a lot of expensive repairs in order to meet the to satisfy the inspections on these programs? Okay, and if you did have to make all those repairs and all those fixes, did it deter you from wanting to participate in the program at all? I know I've talked to several landlords who've said, hey, they said, hey, fix all this stuff, and I was just like, no, I'm not doing that, and then just turn that tenant down and rented it to a regular market rate unit, regular market rate tenant. I've heard so many stories of landlords doing just that, okay? And just saying, you know what, screw this Section 8 garbage. This is part of the reason why there are so many landlords out there right now who just say, no Section 8. I'm not even going to look at your application because I don't want to go through that process. So anyway, let me get into this article. It actually is looking at things more from the landlord's perspective for once, and talks about these very issues that I've been discussing for a long time. This article is coming from thehill.com, and it says, it's an opinion piece, and it says, outdated inspections are eroding the housing choice voucher program. Yeah, they very much are eroding the program. Let's get into it. The Housing Choice Voucher Program is the nation's most important housing assistance program, helping more than 2.3 million low-income families afford to rent homes in the private market. But fewer landlords are participating in it because they face outdated regulatory burdens that are costing them real money. Under the program, landlords are subject to an inspection and enforcement regime designed to ensure their properties meet national housing quality standards that the U.S. Housing Department of Housing and Urban Development issued in 1995. even though the Department of Housing and Urban Development replaced those very standards last year. In other words, HUD retained the inspection regime for a housing quality system that no longer exists. So basically what they're saying here is that the standards that the landlords must comply by are old standards, and they don't even go by those standards anymore for all other issues, but they make landlords, keep up with these outdated standards, and I think that there's this great fear that a lot of landlords out there are going to have, oh, well, they got holes in the walls and they've got, outdated, dangerous plumbing and dangerous issues in their properties. And I will guarantee you that 99% of landlords have everything right already. Okay. 99% of landlords keep their properties in great shape. They keep their properties, well maintained, everything in it working, everything's safe, and the place being 100% livable. And you know why we do that? Because there's competition. There's competition out there, and the tenants themselves will not rent from you if the place is a dump, okay? And not only that, but we like to keep our tenants in well-maintained properties so that they pay us the most rent that we can possibly receive. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't a few properties or a few bad landlords out there, right? A few bad properties and a few bad landlords. That doesn't mean that. What I have always said, and I will maintain this, is that if there's a problem with a bad landlord, go after that specific individual. Go after that individual, right? And say, hey, this place is not livable. There's already laws on the books that say you can go after those people, okay? There's already laws on the book saying, hey, we can go after this one bad landlord who isn't doing things right. But instead of doing that, they say, hey, we're going to punish all of the good landlords. And you know how they're punishing us? By making us jump through the hoops of the inspection system, by making us, pay for inspections, pay for expensive repairs, etc. And rather than actually fixing the problem, it actually made the problem worse, because now there are so few landlords that want to participate in the program that people who have vouchers have to, search hard in order to find somebody willing to take those vouchers. And there's a lot of landlords. I believe they say like 70% of landlords that will not accept vouchers at all. That is created by the system that punishes good landlords. Hey, good job with your stupid laws. Making matters worse, the inspection regime can add several weeks to the leasing process, causing significant income losses for landlords. Not surprisingly, more than 5,000 landlords left the Housing Choice Voucher Program every year between 2010 and 2020. More than 70% of landlords in some cities refuse to rent to voucher holders, and about 40% of voucher holders across the country now can't find an eligible unit with a willing landlord. Yep. See, there's the numbers right there for you. You're like, oh, well, this is to protect the tenants from evil landlords, right? Well, they're, the few landlords that are bad, they don't care anything about what the requirements are. They're still going to go out there and, do things wrong. But for all those good landlords who previously might have participated in this program, they're just choosing not to. Consequently, policymakers should overhaul the current inspection process, helping to encourage more landlords to participate in the Housing Choice Voucher Program and enabling it to reach its full potential as a platform for upward mobility. In a sense, the current inspection regime is now a solution in search of a problem. Earlier, tenant-based rental assistance programs were designed to help low-income families obtain higher quality rental housing. HUD's National Housing Quality Standards and Inspection Regime reflect its focus on housing quality. Here's my thing, right? I believe that a program such as Section 8, right? It's a socialist program. It is a program that has people who are 100% dependent on the government to help them pay their rent, okay? So I am overall opposed to such a program. But I realize that the program that's already in place, my dislike for these sort of programs doesn't mean anything, and that I'm not going to single-handedly, or even if I know a bunch of people who don't like it, ever get this program removed. So what is my belief is that we should minimize this program, make it so that it is temporary, just to help people get back on their feet, and cut the funding to the program down so that we have less people who are getting vouchers. I believe that as well. And as a landlord, I say that we shouldn't participate in the program if it's voluntary. Okay, we shouldn't participate in it because it is only going to encourage more laziness, more just behavior by people where they get where they become dependent on this socialist system. Okay, that's my personal belief. Okay, now you might not agree with me, but I am 100% opposed to these sort of socialist programs. And I believe that they are bad not just for the tenants, they're bad for the landlords as well, because landlords, as property owners, as business owners, we can become dependent upon the government. And guess what? When the government controls your purse strings, they can do anything they want to you. And we don't want that to happen. We don't want it to be that we're 100% dependent upon the government to make sure that our business survives. No, that's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm glad I don't participate in this Section 8 program anymore. The only reason I ever participated in it was because I inherited tenants who were Section 8 when I bought my property, and you know what? Not again. I'm not doing that nonsense again. So, I agree with the author of this article. They need to fix the inspection process and get it so that if they truly intend on helping people, there has to be a better way to get landlords to participate in this program. But you know what? If they don't, it doesn't bother me either way.